Penticton in southern British Columbia. It's from this base that the province's firefighters take off. Aboard this small aircraft is Air Attack Officer Greg Adams.
Okay, 545136, we're just turning into a crosswind.
It's Greg who decides where the two tankers will drop the 10,000 litres of water and fire retardant that they're carrying.
By 119, yeah, 07.
Today is a trial run.
Drop now.
Tomorrow, these water bombers will be responding to one of the 30 uncontrolled fires still burning in the province.
Okay, Mark Finer, you'll pick up a sand patch.
According to the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre, there were over 100 active fires at the time we were filming. In almost all cases, a rapid reaction force responds, made up to 4 seasoned firefighters. Arriving by road when possible, and by parachute when not. Canada covers 10 million square kilometers, 20 times the size of France, and over 8,000 fires ignite every year. The world's second largest country is also the world's most rapidly warming, up to 3 times the global average in the Arctic Circle, according to Environment Canada.
Okay, let's launch Group 8 off of Fort St. John.
From the Kamloops base, 250 kilometers from Penticton, Eric Antifaith coordinates, evaluates, and then deploys the aerial response to forest fires.
Paco, we have a new target on the board. Golf 75192, who would you like to launch?
Okay, launch Group 8 off Fort St. John to Golf 75192.
Despite being well kitted out, the scope of an emergency can sometimes overwhelm the force, so they occasionally rely on support from well outside the province's borders.
When we're really busy, we'll have about 20 air tankers in the province, up to 200 helicopters working, and they'll be spread out throughout the province, but we can expand on that with contracted personnel, or we'll get resources from other agencies, so our neighboring provinces, the rest of Canada, the United States, and then when we're really busy, we'll get stuff from Australia, New Zealand, South America, South Korea, all over the world.
Reinforcements from all over the world were needed in the summer of 2023, during what many called the season from hell. 15 million hectares were engulfed by the flames, according to official figures, 7 times more than in a normal year for Eric and his team, something unheard of in Canada.
Good job, everyone, and do it all again tomorrow.
Astoundingly, some fires from the summer of 2023 have resurfaced almost a year later. They're called zombie fires. In the peaty bogs of the north, flames can smolder all winter under the snow before re-emerging after the thaw in the spring, a nightmare scenario for firefighters.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what they're telling us is going to happen here.
Got a progressive trend in the forecast.
Also battling the flames in their own way is Neil McLaughlin and his forecast unit. They are essential for dispatching the planes, helicopters, and 1,500 firefighters deployed each summer in British Columbia.
Still got pretty good drought conditions in the northeast. A lot of deep burning, a lot of wind throw. Trees are falling over due to that deep burning.
With such a huge area, sometimes only rain can stop the flames. And, as if the drought of 2023 wasn't enough, Neil warns that the worst is yet to come.
We're talking about thousands of kilometers of active perimeter. We may not see the same magnitude of area burned, but we'll certainly see heightened activity and busier seasons with a lot of smoke in the air. and restricting maybe outdoor activities. There are measures that we can take to maybe mitigate those future bad fire seasons, but the climate is at least more conducive to more frequent aggressive fire seasons.
More violent and more frequent fires, far from the cities but not from the air we breathe. In summer 2023, far-flung forest fires caused Montreal and New York to record the worst air quality in the world. Canada is already paying a high price for the effects of climate change. To get an idea of the cost Canadians pay for fires, take a drive on the Trans-Canada Highway along the Thompson River. Here, the famous miles-long Canadian Pacific freight trains run day and night. Built during the gold rush on Indigenous land, the village of Lytton broke several heat records in the summer of 2021.
Yeah. It's hard to believe that it's been 3 years.
Denise O'Connor, the village mayor, grew up in this valley, which is battered by strong winds in both summer and winter. One afternoon in June 2021, trapped under an oppressive heat, the thermometer read 49.6 degrees. Shortly afterwards, Denise stood on her doorstep, facing a gigantic plume of smoke.
A day I'll never forget. It started at the south end of town and moved through town, but it also came up the hill toward where I'm standing, across the railway tracks. So I went outside onto the sidewalk and looked down to the end of town, and sure enough, I mean, it was a monster. There were people, running around, knocking on doors, yelling to people to get out, people literally running for their lives. And then to discover that everything was gone is like another level of trauma.
Witnesses say it took just 20 minutes for the flames to decimate the village entirely. The disaster left 2 people dead and 32,000 displaced. 90% of the buildings in the municipality were in ashes.
There was a motel here, and there was the swimming pool.
According to the town hall, only 40% of residents had home or business insurance. 3 years on, a few buildings are still under construction.
This family had insurance and are rebuilding. Their goal with their home is to make it as fire resilient as possible. Unfortunately, there's been a number that have decided to go build a life somewhere else. And it is so sad that it's taken 3 years for this, to come to this. It's a way of life here. Forest fire is all around us. You look across up over the mountains, and that's been all burned off over the years from forest fires. It's dry, it's hot, we're aware of that. So I don't think that has scared off too many people. I think for the most part, this is home for people. This is where they want to be.
According to the Insurance Bureau of Canada, growing natural disasters mean 1.5 million Canadians can no longer get insurance for their homes and will have to turn to government help in the event of an emergency. Half of Canada's GDP growth could be swallowed up by the cost of climate change by 2025, according to the Canadian Climate Institute. In Kelowna, the province's third largest city, the prestigious university's campus had to be evacuated last August.
Off to our west here, kind of in through the hills. That's where last August the McDougall Creek fire started. It was burning on a really, really steep slope in really heavy timber. That fire was really hard to access. We had gusts of, 70 to 80 kilometers an hour that evening. And so at that point, when you're seeing that kind of fire behavior, it really doesn't matter, what air tankers you have or what helicopters. There's almost nothing you can do to stop a fire like that besides kind of try to manage it in a certain way and sort of wait for, the weather to turn in your favor.
Mathieu Bourbonnais fought forest fires in the West for years before becoming one of the most respected academics on the subject.
So around us, You can kind of see we have a lot of lodgepole pine and ponderosa pine, but with a lot of bunch grass and other grasses sort of mixed in, as well as a bunch of shrubs. And so those fuel types will vary in terms of how they respond to temperature and wind speed and these different things that influence fire risk. The sensor is just over here, or one of them.
Whilst developing a network of sensors to better understand and anticipate forest fires, the researcher and his team are also trying to highlight the importance of prevention and preparation for future disasters, often summed up in one word: fire smart.
Fire smart is really important in the sense of every homeowner or anyone who lives in BC that lives in that kind of wildland urban interface, we have a role to play in this too. Thinking about around your house, what kind of plants am I planting, or shrubs or cedars? Like cedars in this area are just horrible. They're basically firewick. To the municipality, how do we think about how we're planning our communities so that we have less risk in the wildland urban interface? So when we do get a fire, maybe it doesn't turn into one of these large destructive, megafires that we're seeing nowadays.
Long neglected, the traditional knowledge of indigenous communities, as well as the use of fire breaks and the planting of more fire-resistant trees, could reduce forest fire burn rates. According to the Copernicus Atmospheric Monitoring Service, Canada alone contributed almost a quarter of forest fire greenhouse gas emissions worldwide in 2023.